today I'm gonna tackle the back density or unit weight and voids in aggregates. So for the significance and use, this test method covers the determination of back density or unit weight of aggregate in a compacted or loose condition and calculated voids between particles and fine, coarse, or mixed aggregates based on the same determination. For the apparatus that will be used in this method is a balance, a tamping rod, cylindrical metal measure, shovel or scoop, and calibration equipment or glass plate. So for the test sample, the size of the sample shall be approximately 125 to 200% of the quantity required to fill the measure and shall be handled in a manner to avoid segregation. So A, a calibration of measure. 1 is fill the measure with water at room temperature and cover with a piece of plate glass in such a way to eliminate bubbles and excess water. 2 is determine the mass of the water in the measure using the balance. 3. Measure the temperature of the water and determine its density from table 2 or density of water based on temperature, interpolating if necessary. 4 is calculate the volume V of the measure by dividing the mass of the water required to fill the measure by its density. Alternatively, calculate the factor for the measure 1 over V by dividing the density of the water by the mass required to fill the measure. So for the procedure, 1 is rodded back density. A. Fill the measure 1/3 full and level the surface with the fingers. Rod the layer of aggregate with 25 strokes of the tamping rod evenly distributed over the surface. B. In rodding the first layer, do not allow the rod to strike the bottom of the measure forcibly. In rodding the second and the third layers, use vigorous effort but not more force than to cause the tamping rod to penetrate to the previous layer of aggregate. C. Determine the mass of the measure plus its content and the mass of the measure alone and the record the values of the to the nearest 0.1 pound or 0.05 kilogram. Number 2, shoveling loose back density. So A is fill the measure to overflowing by means of a shovel or scoop, discharging the aggregate from a height not to exceed 2 inches or 50 mm above the top of the measure. B. Determine the mass of the measure plus its content and the mass of the measure alone and record the values to the nearest 0.1 pound or 0.05 kilogram. And last is 3 is absorption and specific gravity. So specific gravity and absorption of coarse and fine aggregates are determined in accordance with ASH2 T85 to 91 and ASH2 T84 to 94 respectively.